Jermall Charlo versus Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Who wins this fight? Knuckleheads, welcome to the Fighters Rep, where we give you free fights, interviews in the fight game, and fight commentary from the mind of a promoter. You know, it's not all the time that boxing gives us a fight that is genuinely 50-50, where you have a couple of the best guys taking on each other. Fortunately for us, one of those rare times is almost upon us, as on Saturday at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, Jermall Charlo will be defending his middleweight WBC strap against the very dangerous Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Now, somebody actually left a comment on a previous video asking me who I thought was going to win this fight, so that's why I've decided to make this video. I think also that this is an intriguing fight. I mean, this is one of the most anticipated fights, I think, if you're a hardcore boxing fan, to look forward to at least for the rest of the year. So there are some things I want to discuss about this fight, and then I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win the fight. And obviously what we're going to be discussing first is, reasons and qualities about these guys that make me lean slightly towards one guy. But make no mistake, this is a 45-55 fight. Very close, maybe even 50-50 in a lot of people's books. And Teddy Atlas has actually picked the underdog in this fight, Sergiy Derevyanchenko. And, for good reason, because this is a close fight. So, first and foremost, I want to talk about the physicality of these guys, their stature, because I feel like that's going to play a huge role in the outcome of this fight. You have a Jermall Charlo who, is still just 30 years old. I mean, this kid hasn't even hit his prime yet, if you ask me. 6 feet tall for a middleweight now. 6 feet tall with a 73.5-inch reach. I mean, that's just incredibly impressive. And again, WBC middleweight titleist since 2019. He's going to be defending his strap in this fight. And he won that strap, or rather, he won the interim title from Hugo Centeno in a spectacular fashion in a knockout. I digress. Now let's look over at Sergiy Derevyanchenko. 34 years old. So I don't know if we're going to be getting a guy who, is going to be priming the way he was against Gennady Golovkin in that performance. A performance that, you have to put a slight asterisk next to, because we don't know how far along Gennady Golovkin is either. I mean, it looks like Gennady Golovkin's performances have been dipping in the past few fights. So do we chalk the incredible performance against Triple G up to his age, Derevyanchenko's skill? It's a lot of things to think about. But again, Derevyanchenko, 34 years old. I mean, is he going to give us something we've never seen from him before in this fight? It remains to be seen if he has that, one final fight in him that will finally put him over the top. And what I mean is, he's fought for a title. This will be the third time. So he either wins this or loses like he did the last 2 times. And I don't think he can really afford to be losing this fight. This is a big one for him. So, 34 years old, a lot of pressure on him to perform. 5'9" inches. 5'9" inches compared to the massive Jermall Charlo, who's 6 feet tall. And you've also got a guy in Sergiy Derevyanchenko with a 67-inch reach versus, again, Jermall Charlo, 73.5 inches. I mean, we're talking a 6.5-inch reach advantage. And this is important to me in this fight, because even though Sergiy Derevyanchenko is known as the technician and he can box really well, he's only got 15 fights in the pros, good amateur career, but not the amateur star that was Matt Korobov, who Jermall Charlo had a close fight with but also beat. Korobov was actually taller than Derevyanchenko. Jermall Charlo also has attributes that Sergiy Derevyanchenko has not seen yet in his career. He's, I believe, at that size, despite being 6 feet tall, probably faster than most of the people on Sergiy Derevyanchenko's pro record. And I also think he's got more explosive power than all of the people on Sergiy Derevyanchenko's resume. Now, I know Gennady Golovkin is on that resume. I'm not saying Jermall Charlo has more power than Gennady Golovkin. I think that's up for debate. I think Gennady Golovkin probably has more of that thudding power. But I'm talking about an explosive, fast, bang, knock you out kind of power. We've seen that from Jermall Charlo. And I think when you combine that with his size, his reach, and his skill, which is solid, he's just a real handful. He's just a real handful for Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Now, don't get me wrong. Sergiy Derevyanchenko's got a great engine. He's got good technique. He can fight well on the inside. He can fight well on the outside. I do think he pushes Jermall Charlo. But I'm going to go as far as to say that Jermall Charlo, again, is better probably at this point than a Daniel Jacobs, who beat Sergiy Derevyanchenko. I think probably has more pop in his punches than Daniel Jacobs. And is actually bigger and has a slightly better reach, longer reach than Daniel Jacobs. Again, a guy who won a split decision over Sergiy Derevyanchenko. I just don't see anything in all these attributes, besides the fact that he's a great fighter, that will push me to pick Sergiy Derevyanchenko in this situation. Let me kind of run through them again. So, he's much taller at 6 feet versus 5'9" than Derevyanchenko. He's got a 6.5-inch reach advantage. He's got almost double the fights, maybe even double in the pro game. Yes, he's got 30 fights. Derevyanchenko's got 15. Derevyanchenko's got 2 losses. Charlo's never lost before. You got a guy in Charlo who's 30 years old versus a guy who's 34 now. And I think in these middle and lighter divisions, guys tend to age a little bit quicker than they do in the heavyweight division. So I think that could be problematic. And just the style of a Jermall Charlo, a boxer puncher, a guy who can box, I think probably as good as Daniel Jacobs, or is in that realm, but can hit harder, in my opinion. A guy with explosive one-punch knockout power. I think what happens here, knuckleheads, there's so many advantages for Charlo here, right? He is the favorite in this fight. He's defending his title. You got to beat the champ. Even if Derevyanchenko could get this to a decision and it's close, I still think Jermall Charlo, home country guy, is going to get the decision. There's just too much. There's just too much for me in this fight against Derevyanchenko to pick Derevyanchenko. I got to go with the American, Jermall Charlo. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that he maybe gets pushed at times in this fight, but I think he beats Derevyanchenko handily. And if it's not a dominant performance, I think he even potentially finishes Derevyanchenko in the late rounds. I think the way this fight plays out is Jermall Charlo uses his reach, keeps Derevyanchenko at bay because Derevyanchenko is a great inside fighter. When he does get in, he makes him pay on the way in with big power shots. Derevyanchenko respects that power, stays on the outside and gets outboxed, and potentially gets sloppy and tired at the end of the fight against the younger, stronger, faster man and ends up on his back. That's potentially what's going to happen. So, knuckleheads, tell me what you think the outcome of this fight is. Do you think I'm on point, or do you think I'm a maniac? If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon next to it. Join Knucklehead Nation by joining and supporting me. You know, you'll be helping me build this channel and also building the only kickboxing promotion that matters. This is the dopest fight channel on YouTube. I give you daily content. We have free fights, interviews, so on and so forth. Also, get your Fighters Rep gear in the link below. We got shirts, tanks, hoodies, masks. Again, it'll help me build the channel and support these young warriors at Fighters Rep Promotions. You can think of it as you're basically helping us build a promotion, kind of a crowd-funded thing. But anyway, knuckleheads, if you don't have your Fighters Rep gear, you don't know shit about the fight game. I look forward to hearing your comments or reading your comments, and we'll talk soon.